How's it going, YouTube? My name's Rob and I want to do a video today on how I cope with anxiety. In recent years I've made a few changes in my life and I'd like to make a video now on just all the different things that I do to manage and cope with my anxiety. So the first thing I do after waking up and having my breakfast is I have my pills and medication. For some pills like vitamin D, it's a good idea to have food beforehand, so that's why it's after the food. So the first thing in the morning I'll take vitamin D, magnesium tablets, and then I'll take my medication sertraline. I find sertraline is really good. It's good for my anxiety and depression. I have noticed a difference, and then there's a lot of studies say antidepressants are helpful for anxiety, so if it's something that you have, then I'd recommend taking one. And then I also take fish oil tablets. I've heard like the fatty omega-3 acids and all that can in the fish oils can help relieve anxiety symptoms, or at least there's some evidence that they can help. So I take them. Just I feel like anything you can do that might help your mental health and anxiety, you might as well. Which leads me on to talk about cold showers. You know, a lot of people probably are put off from the idea of cold showers, but you know, like anxiety can be quite severe, debilitating. You know, I find it. You know, it can be just as debilitating as depression, and if you're struggling with it, I feel like, you know, the discomfort from a cold shower, you know, a 5-minute cold shower, is, if you get any benefit from, like, any relief from your anxiety, it's worth it in my opinion. But you know, each to their own. You know, but if you don't want to do it, that's absolutely fine. But for me, I find cold showers helpful. What I do is I don't have it warm initially and then lower the temperature gradually. Have it cold for about 5 minutes, and when it's having it for 5 minutes, I focus on my breathing, and then, you know, occasionally I'll listen to sort of this uplifting cold shower music while having it, and I find that all the combination of the breathing, focusing on the breath, the current moment, and the music just makes me ready for the day and relieves all anxiety, and I'd really recommend cold showers. And then I have a green tea. So these are my brothers, but he lets me have them. It's nice of him. I've heard that green tea can help calm the nerves and all that, so I try and have a green tea in the morning. And then when I'm at work, I'll have them as well. Yeah, I think they're a good idea, and they're really healthy as well. So another thing I'll try and do is I'll go on a walk every day, either in the local park, woods, or the local common. Sometimes I'll go on long adventures, as many of my that subscribe to my channel might know. But exercising good is general. When you do exercise, your body releases endorphins, which are the feel-good hormones that lift you up. And I think if you struggle with anxiety, it can be a great idea to make it into a routine like I have, where you do exercise every day. I think people that, from what I've read at least and understand, is people that do exercise every day get a lot more benefit than doing the odd long, super long thing once a week or whatever. You know, it's but if you can do that, I think you'll see a lot of improvement, as I saw improvement in myself. And as I say, green spaces. There's a lot of if you can do your exercise in green spaces, that's great. They've been linked to a reduction in stress and anxiety and improvement in mental health. Just being grateful and appreciating nature can be great, and as we're coming up to the spring now, you know, just appreciating all the new flowers coming up and all the changes, the leaves on the trees and all that, you know. That's what I that's what I try and do, and I really do appreciate nature nowadays. And another one is mindfulness. I spoke about that in my how I cope with depression videos. So mindfulness is where you're living in the current moment. It stops you worrying about the past or the future, which is what a lot of people have anxiety around. It can be hard at first to get used to it, but with practice it gets easier and easier. Mindfulness is when you're using your sensory glands, such as your eyes, your ears, your nose, your touch and all that, your taste, to be in the current moment. And you can pretty much do it everywhere in day-to-day life, and things that I've learned is like when you're out on walks in nature, I find it quite easy to do mindfulness, and it does calm me down, you know, when you're in nature, just observing the trees, listening to the birds if you're in the woods and whatnot. Sometimes I look up and you get different views and you're not used to, and then what I try and do is every time I leave the front door, I read it in a book somewhere, it's a good idea to be mindful, and I'll feel the temperature change, feel the wind, see all the new sights. If you're being inside for a while, you're used to the inside sights, and even gardening as well, you know, you can be mindful of the plants and how they feel in your hand. And then there's guided meditations which you can find on YouTube. There's a good YouTube channel called Daily Calm that I subscribe to. They've got a lot of sort of 10-minute meditations and longer ones. Ones like breathing meditations, muscle relaxation ones, and then there's one I like to do is leaves on a stream, where you imagine your thoughts and that on a stream and watch as they pass. And these mindfulness meditations bring you back to the current moment and help relieve anxiety symptoms and whatnot. And I've read the more you do them, the easier it is when you're in a very anxious state to bring yourself back to the current moment. So now I've seen benefit from meditations. I haven't been doing them that much recently, but it's something for me to get back into, and I suppose I know when I am in a very anxious state to try them, so because they are helpful. And then another thing I'll talk about is music. So music helps calm me down. I suppose it depends what type of music it is. If it's metal, not always, but you know, relaxing piano music with birds singing, I find that to be quite relaxing stuff, and you know, helps me sleep and helps me in anxious states. And I find staying away from the news, you know, if you're in an anxious state, it's a good idea, because news is all negative. Well, most news is. And then any sort of like horror or violent movies, I find is a no for me, you know, like books and games as well. I stay away from violent stuff because I find that quite triggering for my anxiety. But everyone has mental health differently, so you might be okay with that. I don't know. That's just, I'm talking about things I do for my anxiety. And then being creative as well. So I like to play the piano. I play it every day. On working days I'll play it in the morning. I find that quite calming, because when you're playing the piano, you're not only hearing, I find piano quite a relaxing instrument, you're not only hearing the notes and the music's calming in itself, but when you're totally distracted and where you've got to place your fingers in both hands, I find that to be quite a good. Also find reading. So reading, I've read, can reduce stress and anxiety. So I read, you know, animal books. And then another thing is that I like talking to family. You know, not only about things that I'm worrying about or anxious over, but just talking in general. If you're talking about mental health, you know, my mum says a problem shared is a problem halved, and I think that's quite true. You know, when you tell something to someone that you're anxious over, it can make you feel more okay that it's going on. It might not necessarily solve the problem, but if you let someone know that you care, that cares about you and that, you can make it feel more okay that it's going on. I've done a therapy called CBT, which stands for Cognitive Behavioural Therapy. And you know, I get anxiety from events that have occurred or are about to occur. There's something called the ABCD method, where so if the idea is, if your beliefs will cause around an event will cause the consequences, your thoughts and your behaviours. If you change the way you think about something, change your beliefs, then your consequences will improve. I've read the more often you practice the ABCD method, the more a mental pathway is formed, and you can sort of change your beliefs over time. But if you're interested in all that, there's you know, it's probably a better idea to speak to a therapist than listen to some random guy on YouTube. But you know, that's what's helped me, the ABCD method. So I try and look at things from a different light now, and different way of thinking, and then just believe in that and realising, you know, I've had a lot of unhelpful thoughts in the past and ones that I don't really need to have. So one way of practicing this method is what I do at the end of the day is I write down all my unhelpful thoughts and beliefs were, and then I write down what a more helpful belief would have been. So then you know, and the more time I do that, I have noticed my brain's less going to the negative and it's more going to the positive, and sort of helping. And I find that might have helped me the most, potentially, this sort of cognitive behavioural therapy. And then another thing that I want to stress as well, for me at least, and I think if it's common knowledge in the mental health world, is keeping busy is really helpful for anxiety. Like when you're doing nothing, that's when anxiety manifests. So having like a routine where you're keeping yourself busy, you do this at a certain time of the day when your day's off, can really help get too overwhelmed with anxiety. If you're keeping busy, that's great. Yeah, that's this video done. Hope you might have found it helpful, and thank you very much. Cheers.